In today's video we're going to be jumping into some more Throne and Liberty, and this time I'm going to be going over absolutely everything you need to know about weapon mastery, all the details on how to get the very best out of your weapons, the best ways to level it up, and all the fine details you need to know in order to become the most powerful with your setup. Now obviously in Throne and Liberty there's not classes per se, instead you're going to be using a variety of weapons, and your best bet is picking the two that you find work best for your playstyle. That's going to be out of the sword and shield, longbow, greatsword, crossbow, daggers, staff and wand. Now obviously as you're going to be playing you're going to want to know what's going on with these, how are you actually powering them up, because other than leveling them up themselves you're also going to have that mastery element to them. In order to know what this is about, we're going to go up to our skills menu just up here, and as you can see I've got equipped at the moment, I've got a greatsword that's mastery level 2, and that's going to be in this very first slot, and that's because we've got it as our primary in slot 1 over on our gear. If you wanted to change this out, or you wanted to see what the skills are about on another weapon, then you can do that by clicking on this menu and changing it to whichever weapon you're after. Now I've leveled up a few of these solely for the purpose of this video. I would highly recommend work out the two that you want to and focus mainly on just the two you have equipped, because it's going to make your life a whole bunch easier. But for the weapon mastery, as you can see here, we've got a grid, and you'll be able to go on a variety of paths depending on what you want to bring into your build. Most times it's going to be a little bit more regen, or a little bit more damage, or a little bit more defensiveness, again depending on your playstyle and such. Once you've maxed this out you'll be able to have 16 mastery points invested into it, and every single time you're leveling up this bar just here you're going to go up a level and grab yourself one of the skill points to invest in the grid you see just here. These can actually bring a lot to your build. Some of them are very helpful, with most times the larger nodes being a little bit more powerful than the smaller ones overall. Now for this one, if we go over to the longbow, I'm going to equip everything, I'm going to show you exactly what's going on and how they all work. As you can see, I've activated the first one just up here, which gives me a nice little buff to my health. But what you will notice, when I was actually playing, I didn't have this active on my character when I was using the other weapon. This led me into a little rabbit hole that I definitely didn't want to go down, because it took an absolute age. I'm going to go over exactly how these mastery perks work and how you can get the best out of them. So jumping over to another character on a different server, I had leveled this one up quite some way by using my greatsword and such, and what I've done, I'm going to reset absolutely everything on the mastery tree, and then we're going to go this top tree and we're going to get a little bit for our overall build. So we're going to enhance our ranged defense and our magic defense. The ranged is going to be on one of the smaller nodes, and the magic defense is going to be on one of the larger nodes. Now there seems to be quite a lot of misinformation out there, so hopefully I get this one right. But what I checked out, when we're using this now, so when we've got that actually equipped as our main primary, all of the stats were actually buffed on my character and they're all working as standard. But when I changed over to my secondary, which was a bow with absolutely nothing on it, none of those actually procced or affected it whatsoever. After a lot of trial and error though, and after by using a test range in order to activate my skills, I found out that there's a few things that are definitely worth knowing about, and the main one is going to be that your primary weapon, the one in that first slot, the one you'll be having on most times, is going to have all of the effects that you've unlocked within your mastery tree, so both the mastery effects and the mastery skills that you see over on the right here. However, what you won't be having is the other weapons mastery effect and skills. Instead, only the larger nodes, the mastery skill ones, will be active whenever you're proccing the attack from that weapon, because it's kind of classed like it's gone into your main hand. Now there's definitely a few ways to level this mastery up, but I'm going to be going over the best ways, and currently one amazing way is going to be by going to your open world dungeons and spending your abyssal tokens. You'll be racking these up as you play through co-op dungeons and through doing your contracts and such, so you're going to want to make sure you can go into these whenever you can, as not only is it going to give you some really nice loot, a nice bit of gold, but it's also going to rack up those mastery points, allowing you to level up those weapons quite nice and fast. As you see here, when they're low level they rank up really quickly without you having to do much at all, but as you start to progress them in levels it does get a little bit trickier. And that's where this item comes in, and that's going to be your training dew. Training dew is absolutely amazing, but one thing you should know is that it does only last 24 hours, so you want to make sure you log in just to use these up, or use them whenever you've got them, and it'll apply to the two weapons that you have equipped at the time. So I've got a low mastery greatsword and a wand equipped, and then I'm gonna pop into my inventory and make sure I use them up. You'll see this rank up the greatsword massively because it was so low level, and the first 7 levels in general tend to be very fast and easy to rank up on your weapons, allowing for some flexibility to work out what you want. Another way, and probably the best way overall, is going to be completing your contracts. Some of the higher level areas, such as this one over at the Pure Light Temple, are pretty much going to be your go-to endgame ones because they give you a nice amount of training due whenever you're handing them in. Also, the money is definitely worth it as well, as you rack up some massive amounts of gold this way, so make sure you're taking advantage of the late game vendors, as the early ones just aren't going to reap you as many benefits. You're going to want to do this as often as possible in order to get the absolute most from them, and you're given 10 of these contracts a day and you can hold up to 60, just in case you're not able to do them on some days. Definitely worth doing, as they give you a massive amount of loot, obviously those training dues which we're after. And another thing which isn't really to do with this video but is well worth noting, if you're refreshing your page very often for your contracts after you've taken 1 or 2, then you can get lucky and also get some of these purple patches. Doing these works out amazing, as they've got some nice purple gear for you and can help you to gear up quite fast or deconstruct or sell on in order to make some profit. One thing that a few people might get confused about, however, is that when you saw the late ones it was giving you 4 training due, and if you bot back to say some of the early game ones, it's going to give you 15. However, don't think this means you should go back and do the earlier content in order to get more bang for your buck, because ultimately they're going to be rewarding you with much lower training due points within that actual item. So if we go over to this one, it's going to be 100 training due points. Other areas will be different obviously, but the later ones for those contract vendors are going to give you a massive 10,000 per one, so it definitely works out in your interest doing the tougher content. Over to another great one, and one you should be running ideally daily, and that's going to be your co-op dungeons. Not only are you going to have a chance for some great loot and some great resources, but also you'll be able to get yourself some more of that training due. Take on the dungeon, take out the boss. Once you've defeated it, hopefully your luck is in and you get something nice, but even if you don't, when you've opened up the chest because you finished the mission, you should be grabbing yourself some of that training due, perfect for leveling up more mastery. One of the other ways, and more of an endgame way for people that are very geared up, is going to be going over to your secret dungeons and then going over to your Gate of Affinity. These bosses can be ridiculously tricky, so make sure you've got a nice build on, but once you complete it, the first time you do, you're going to get yourself a massive amount of that training due, perfect for a big boost to your weapons. But yeah, hopefully this has helped a few of you guys and girls out. I have spent way too long in this video trying to work things out, so hopefully everything's correct. If it's not, chuck it in the comments and I'll pin it if there are any errors. Hopefully there's not, but so far I'm really enjoying the game, and if you like seeing more content from me, then why not hit that subscribe and bell icon. But as always, for all things gaming, take care. I'll see you on the next day.